Hey everybody, this is Steve Arviso and
Charles Musick.
And this is
another episode of Two Guys, One Movie, The Revenge in 3D.
No, I keep telling you, nobody has a 3D television set. This is just 3.
It's for the home video release?
It's for the home video release.
Alright.
Yeah. Sorry, we couldn't get that conversion to go. And nobody has the blue and red glasses anymore.
I actually have a pair.
You
hidden
do?
Away. It came in my Sports Illustrated 3D magazine.
You know, I think I actually had that for Windows. Windows 3.1 has that.
It's right next to my Sports Illustrated football phone.
Oh, you got that?
Yes.
You never sent me mine.
Alright, on to day 2.
Welcome to day 2 of Two Guys, One Movie.
And Jaws is obviously what we're going to be talking about this one. Now, some people don't consider this really a horror film. I mean, you could consider...
If you ever watched the sequels, you'd think it was a comedy series.
I actually don't remember the sequels very much. I mean...
You're lucky. They weren't good. Honestly, this is arguably, if you want to consider Jaws a horror film, I would say this is probably one of the worst horror franchises ever made.
Well, actually, IMDb has it listed as thriller.
Ooh.
But I mean, it was when I watched it as a kid too. When I saw it,
yeah,
it changed my whole perception of the beach.
Still
to this day, I don't like the beach.
My mother-in-law is still terrible. She just recently, after 30 years, has just recently gotten over her fear of the ocean after having watched Jaws as a teenager back in the 70s and being terrified of the water. There are no sharks out here in Orange County that are attacking people.
It's just the idea that there are things like that in the ocean, you know, and I mean, some of those iconic scenes of him, you know, going, I mean, it's terrifying.
Yeah, and to imagine, you wouldn't have gotten that if that damn shark had actually worked. This is one of the most screwed up productions in, like, the history of Hollywood.
Oh yeah, I mean, they talk about it in numerous times. Steven Spielberg and other people have talked about it that worked on the set, that, you know, it was a day-to-day process whether or not the shark was going to work.
Yeah.
I mean, they were basically shitting in one hand and praying in the other, you know. And, I mean, there was actual times where they said the shark, you know, it would malfunction or it would almost, you know, like hit people or something like that. I mean, it was a dangerous thing.
Very much so. It's something to be said because it's weird. You know, the earliest horror films tend to be monster movies, monster flicks. You got vampire
slasher flicks, stuff like that.
Yeah, but slasher flicks came out around this time a little bit later than Jaws. But I mean, it was always monster flicks. You always got, you know, the old school Universal horror films. You got vampires, Frankenstein's werewolves, and you got the 50s and 60s. You got the radioactive monsters. You got Godzilla, giant ants, disembodied heads and brains moving around all over, and then you get this. And most of those movies were set in really weird periods, and they had really outlandish monsters. This was realistic. This was like one of the first realistic horror films. It wasn't a blob chasing you through the city. It was a sunny day at the beach, and then this giant monster shark is just going after you. And
it's a shark. I mean, it's not like, you know, a deranged person or, you know, it's an animal that really doesn't know any better.
Yeah.
Apparently, though, this one is out for man blood.
Its family is, there's a family feud going on in this one. It's like the Hatfields and the McCoys.
But it just, I mean, as you said, your mother-in-law, you said, was terrified of going in.
Yes, I shit you not, until like several weeks ago, we got a call from her, and she's telling us, I finally got over it.
I mean, it didn't terrify me to the point of where I couldn't go in the water, but you'd be damn sure if like seaweed comes and touches my leg and be freaking out, you know?
Yeah.
It made us all aware, I think. I mean, it took something that as you said, sunny, happy day at the beach, you know, and was like, this is how it could turn into a really dark day at the beach.
You know, the key to a lot of classic horror films is it always takes place in the dark. Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, most of the deaths and the scary bits take place at night. This is one of the first few horror films that, if not the first, that really took place during the day at all times. There's a couple of night scenes, but all the stuff is really during the day. But the fact
that the shark can go into the water and you can't see, I mean, it's clear as day, but you have no idea where exactly he is.
Exactly, but it still makes you afraid in the daylight, though. That's terrifying.
And I mean, this is no just like average, you know, great white. This is a huge great white shark. Oh, yeah.
I think this is supposed to be on record. I think there's only one shark on record that's bigger than the one that's supposed to be depicted in the movie. I believe in the book, the original book, it was actually a smaller shark, if I recall correctly. The book is supposed to be a horrendous mess.
I don't know that.
From what I understand, the book is quite a bit different, and it's a lot more of a mess. The movie actually really tightened up the story quite a bit. But, you know, I don't think the movie would have been successful if that shark worked. It just probably would have been one of those cheesy, flicks from the 80s that would have been
well,
like
if the shark worked, you were going to have shots of the shark in the water swimming around, rather than those first-person perspective shots of the shark going underwater.
First shark perspective?
First shark perspective.
Yeah, exactly. It's
sure.
It's not a person.
You know what I mean, though. Through the shark's eyes.
Yes.
I mean, and then you come up, that first shot, of course, when the guy's underwater, I forget his name, who's underwater, and he comes up on that boat. And you see the dead, body float up through that window.
Oh, that's right.
I mean, I just watched the movie a couple months ago, and I hadn't seen it in a few years, and I jumped back when I saw that scene.
And the sad thing is that, like I said earlier, it's it's the best movie in the worst franchise the worst horror film franchise. I'm throwing in stuff like Child's Play. I'm throwing in stuff like Thanksgiving. This movie went from incredible first film to absolute garbage. Just with each film was just progressively worse and worse.
And we could all thank Jaws for spawning these great shark movies that keep coming out nowadays. That
you don't like Sharknado or Sharknado 2?
Exactly. That all you people keep running and flocking to, so they make more and more.
Kurt Angle was in one of those movies, damn it.
Mega Shark or Giant Snake versus MacLeod or something like that. Yeah, I mean...
Well, it had to start somewhere. I mean, it's not the first monster movie. It's certainly not by far. We had giant ants and we had giant crickets back in the 50s and 60s.
Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery?
I don't think in this case. No, that's not the case. I think it's just a giant middle finger to it. But then again, so is Jaws 2, Jaws 3D, which took place in SeaWorld, and Jaws the Revenge, which proved that this shark family had a thing out against the Brody family.
Now also, a lot of horror films, or sometimes horror films, take to the way of letting your imagination run a little more wild with you than, showing you a shot, like, let's pan to the left, because you can imagine more horrific things than they're going to probably be able to show you.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Jaws, of course, you're sitting there looking at these people on this boat waiting for this shark, and all you see is ocean. So, I mean, you're, imagining all these things, and that music.
Oh,
the music hits.
The first scene alone, that scene at night, one of the few night scenes, and I think it was, the only night death, too. The skinny dipping, the shark nipping at their feet, and not knowing what it is. I think they mentioned in the film it might have been a seal or something like that. Because I think the girl dies by herself, and the boyfriend goes out to the shore.
She's in the water, and then she gets pulled down.
Yeah. So, that's terrifying. It's in the dark, you don't know what it is, and it's this big setup. That's a great horror shot right there.
And of course, the music.
Yo, the iconic music.
I mean, you just have to start playing, and people know what it is, and you get the feeling.
Oh, yes. I think that really gave that nice classic movie cue that you get in the rest of the horror film series.
Could you imagine going to the beach and pumping that music on your stereo or something really loud?
Probably get kicked off real quick out around here.
But I mean...
Well, then you get out here, the water's more dangerous than the things in it.
It's definitely... I mean, people define it as a thriller. It terrified me when I first saw it. It changed the way many people think about the beach. And the fact that...
it led to a series... Sharks were murdered mercilessly after this film came out. People were so terrified of sharks after this movie. The shark population, nosedived because we were out there killing them en masse just because of this movie. That's how much this kind of film... yesterday we were talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the effect it had on people. This actually had people go out and kill a species because of a movie.
I did not know that.
Yes! You thought that whole whaling thing with Japan was merciless. This was worse.
It just made me not want to go to the beach anymore, basically. Or if I am in the water, to make sure I don't go too far into the water.
Yes. Just make sure there's a Japanese whaler with you. You'll be fine.
And I'm not skinny dipping. That's a rule. No.
Well, definitely. I don't think anyone in public wants to see that.
Thanks, Stephen.
Only in private.
Yes. But, I mean, it definitely defined, the way we think of thrillers and horror films and how you could do things without having a person or a Dracula or a werewolf. I mean, so many horror films have been spawned. I mean, Arachnophobia and, the Anaconda series. I mean, snakes. Ooh. I'm just using these for examples, though.
Snakes?
But I'm just saying animals, in general now have became more of a horror type film, too.
Yeah. You always get them now, but nothing seems to be
quite as sci-fi-ish.
Yeah, nothing seems to be quite as iconic as the shark, though. Jaws.
Oh, you can't top the original.
No, it's an apex predator, and there's a reason why you shouldn't be going in the water.
And Jaws still holds up today. Sit down and watch it, and it's still,
Yeah, and it also gave us Steven Spielberg one of the blah, 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 blahs. of his generation.
You don't like Steven Spielberg? I don't know what to say to that.
Say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.
Join us tomorrow, October 3rd, for our next pick, which we're not going to tell you right now.
Of course, you gotta listen.
You gotta listen. If not, how are you gonna... I got nothing.
Just listen.
Just listen. Do it.
No sharks were harmed during the recording of this podcast.
Well, maybe one.
Or two. But they were mechanical.
They had it coming. It came at us first.